Hello and welcome to the live exclusive interview with the president of the United Methodist University, the Reverend Dr. Yar Donlah Gonway-Gono. That's what I'm correct. So first, I want to say thank you for allowing us to your office.
You're very welcome.
You are welcome to our interview.
Thank you.
Before we move forward, could you tell who the Reverend Dr. Gono is?
The Reverend Dr. Gono is a woman who grew up in a small town in Niba County called Flumpa with her father, Kupose Gonway, and mother, Yekepen Gonway. 8 children, 1 died in early childhood. We were taken to Yekepa early on where I grew up, and they didn't have the opportunity to go to school at an early age because I was very helpful to my mother. So my father felt that I needed to stay home and take care of my younger siblings.
Wow.
And miraculously, a Christian family, a Christian man, my father's white man, it happened that we were all sick. We got some kind of flu, and the tradition of the office was that if workers would go and get sleep to take the kids to the hospital. So we got there, and when I was cooking all the time, I wanted to go to school, but I was always there cooking for. And the funniest thing was that my younger siblings were sent to school before I did.
Wow.
So I was wondering why, and my father kept saying, "You will stay home and help your mom." And so we got sick and went to the clinic, to a white place to get a slip to go to the clinic. And this man with whom he worked saw me and asked him, "Is this smart little girl going to school?" And my father dismissed that and said, "No, this one will stay home and help." And I was just praying in my heart. I said, "God, I hope he has something about that question." And we left. I didn't make anything of it, didn't think of it. But that's that year when school time came, he was the same man who, as the question, was responsible for registering the workers' children. So he included my name on the list. He gave me the name Victoria. Later on I changed it because I wanted to carry my indigenous name. So from there I was in class with little kids, called me names, ABC grandmother, but I was very serious. Once I had a chance to go to school, my younger brother was helping me write the alphabet, my numbers. My mother would call me to come work. I was never paying attention to her. All I was doing was reading and studying, and it wasn't easy because they put our names on the decks. It was careless school, well developed. Our names were on the decks, and I would miss my name and sit in the other children's seats, and they would place me back to my seat. They divided the class into the lower class, those who were not doing well, up to those who were A student. I was in that lower part until I climbed up to be straight A student, and from there, that same year, I was promoted twice.
Wow.
And into 6th grade. I had to take the 6th grade exam. It was in 1968. And so from there, I started struggling, trying to learn. Travel, left my parents at a very younger age, and went to Senegal. We all struggled, and then from there to Banga. And while in Banga, I graduated from Monrovia High School and I wanted to do medicine. I wanted to become a medical doctor because I was good in science. My teacher used to always say that. And then plus I wanted to still continue with this passion to help people, wait for more money so I can support people who were poor in our community, because where we live was very poor people, illiterate people. So all of those, I didn't have money, took entrances and pass, but I didn't have the money to go. And so I stumbled over the Banga School of Theology in Banga, where a friend of mine from my hometown was attending. And I got there. When I went to visit her, I saw people in school. So I asked her, I said, "Do you think it would be good?" Because I was just looking for school. my father didn't want me to go to school, so I didn't want to sit down. I didn't want to say, oh, that's the reason. So I just wanted to stay in school. Whatever it was, I didn't worry about it. So I asked her and luckily I met this American missionary, Dr. Frank L. Horton, who said, if you pass the entrance, I will give you scholarship. So I took that entrance with all men. So I started with all men in my class. And then while we were there, a scholarship opportunity came. And a guy from the Interdenominational Theological Center came to be our conference speaker in Yekepa and told Bishop Kula that there was scholarship available for young pastors or young theologians who wanted to advance their theological education in the U.S. I was the only one who heard it. And I said I would take that man up to that. So when we came, I never rested. I actually started researching who all went to that school and found out that there were people in our conference that went. So I applied and was accepted. And then I started my master program at the Interdenominational Theological Center. And then when I graduated, I was about to graduate, I felt that I needed to. It was a predominantly black school, or people of color, Africans. A lot of things were going on. I wanted something more challenging and said I needed to go to a school that at least would challenge me more. So I applied to Emory University for the second master's program. I was accepted, and while there, I decided to do my doctorate. And I wasn't sure they were going to even accept me. I did the application and was staying away from even going to check on it. And later on, when I went, they said congratulations. It was during that period of time that what I didn't say is that while at Banga School of Theology, I met my first husband. We got married. I left my daughter here when she was 8 months old when I got the scholarship. So that was a serious decision. But then when he came, there were other issues. We were incompatible, and so the marriage, he decided to end the marriage. And then from there, when I was in the graduate program, I found my now husband. When we just started, I got pregnant with my last son. And the people are like, you are smart, but you're not going to do the doctorate with pregnancy. I wouldn't say anything, I was just steady. But luckily, fortunately for me, I was able to stay and finish the coursework. And I was even in labor when I was finishing my last exam. So I graduated, let's say I completed, but to do the research I wanted to study, I did my PhD in women and homosexuality studies, because I've always felt that when I was in Flumpa, I was concerned about how women were treated. I was also concerned about my mother and my aunts cooking food and leaving all the best part for my father and his friends. So I was concerned about many issues concerning girls and women, young girls. Like my side, they would go to school pregnant and drop out, and people would leave them to suffer. So all of that, I wanted to do some study with women or human development. So I applied in that department, and time for my dissertation, I said I was going to dedicate it to the study of Liberian women. 3 generations: adolescents, young adult, and middle-aged adults. And then the 2 major groups in Liberia, indigenous and American Liberians. And my focus was on the psychological and moral development. The question was, how has coming to North America made Liberian women to see themselves in terms of the cultural values, moral values, parenting, marriage, and all of that. So my initial intention was to come to Liberia, because my critique was on the Western training, where you have to give up your culture, some good things in your culture just to fit in. So I wanted to go to a remote village to research some of the parents who have raised children. What were the different things that they did that made some of their children to come up well, but the war was going on, so I couldn't go. So I focused on the women, the refugees, and their daughters who migrated to the U.S. And I studied 73 of them. I targeted 200, but 73 were accepted. And I did that and graduated 2001. I did some teaching at Emory and Georgia State University. After graduation, I'm also an ordained elder in the United Methodist Church, standing in good standing. So I wanted to also use that. So when I graduated, somebody like, yeah, you've graduated now. They're interviewing for pastors in all of the United Methodist churches. So I just went to try an interview in Oklahoma. Conference accepted me. I moved the family. They agreed to follow me, my husband and children. Oklahoma. Wagner, Oklahoma, one of the smallest towns with no many black people were not there. And we got to the church where I was one of the pastors who were all white, who were the only blacks.
Wow. And
the only Africans. They have had nothing to do with black people in that particular congregation. But I got there and almost 2,000 of them came to my Bible study class, and I knew they were there to study me. So I did a Bible study class. We interacted, and at 2 weeks, and then my husband would tell me, "Don't talk too much. It's not your regular college." I said, once they got me here, the love of Christ has no limit. So if they love Christ, they say they're Christians, I will be myself. So anyway, from there, they asked me if I knew why they came. I said, to check me out. I don't know how you found me. They said they love me. And that church was the place I found the most love. But I left because my husband left, and the children didn't want that small town. They went to Minnesota, where I finally settled from Atlanta. And then while in Minnesota, I worked with Park Avenue United Methodist Church, one of the most diverse churches in Minnesota, Minneapolis. The income level is from 0 to 500,000 a year. You got Congress, lawyer, university professors, all kind of people, and low income, the poorest people in that church. And I got there and started program, and the women saw me, and they like, "We need you to help us. What do you need?" They don't want us to get books. So anyway, I worked with the women. We started program, and I started program that was actually from 0 level to all of the people. We designed program. Most of the churches I went are focusing on education of women and getting them involved. When women are actively engaged, their children will be active, the church will be active, their husband will be. So I targeted that, and using the leaders of the society who were in the church to help the people in the community who were poor. And then finally I left. I went to St. Mary's University because I felt that my calling was in the therapy, which is a marriage counseling. So I did a 2 years of study in the Master of Marriage and Family Therapy, and it was during that period of time that I was recruited to come to start a community college to be part of the decentralization of education at the Nimba County Community College, which I just first didn't think I was going to do that. I didn't think I was going to come to Liberia because we heard a lot about the war. Everybody was afraid. But when I was called, the striking thing that happened, I've gone to study with some friends who were faculty at the university, but they were building school in Liberia. So while they were talking, they asked me, "Yeah, Liberia needs you. When are you going to go?" And I was jokingly saying to them, "When God called me, I will go." It was 2 weeks later that I was recruited to come.
Who recruited you?
It was Dr. Slawon through Monaseli because the application was the way it happened, it was strange. I wasn't thinking about coming to Liberia. Then when somebody called me, the people of Nimba and Liberia are looking for you to go and start a community college in Nimba, I said no. They myself, they didn't talk about this, so I put the phone down. When we're driving to go buy fish, something is telling me in my spirit, don't you think it's time for you to go? He said, if God call you, you will go. And my heart was heavy, I couldn't. So I said, is this it? So I drove back, called the man, he gave me that Islamic number. I called him and said, oh, I'm leaving for Liberia in 2 days. I was like, well, how am I going to get the application together? But everything came together in 2 days. He told me to draft a curriculum. I researched and drafted a curriculum of how you start a community college, and all of the things I needed to do, I began to work on it. And once I made up my mind at that time that I was coming, I left everything. I said, I got degrees. The master program will be left, and let me go and help. After the war, I've been here, even though we help people in Liberia financially, but it was time to do a tangible thing, reaching out to kids who are coming from war to provide education in terms of skills that they can develop themselves and their families. So I came first when I put everything down, recruiting people at my house, interviewing people online, getting people ready to come. A white professor who was retired from Indianapolis University was also recruiting for me, helping me and so forth. Then I listened, I looked online and saw a note from Dr. Slawon that because of funding, the opening of Nimba County Community College would be delayed. I was like, what? I've already sat here preparing. So I told my kids I'm going to Liberia to see what's going on. I have printed booklet, I did course description, job description, everything that I needed because I researched to come. I knew that when I came here, it would be difficult to get internet, so I did most of the things and then printed the almost 10 booklets and brought them. That time Gonga was the Minister of Education. I went straight to them and said, what are you up to? If you were not serious, why did you have to get to me to leave everything? By the time they saw me, was the college president here. So we got serious, and Manaseli appointed me October 8th. Actually, she did a press conference, and that's how I started. I recruited people from here, from the States. I even brought a girl who I was one level come with me because of the passion. Once I said I was going to do it, I gave it my all. We didn't even have money. People sitting in Monrovia, I said, let's go to Nimba first and clean up. And people see, when people see that we're serious, God will help us. So we did that, and I ran that college with distinction for 8 years. 8 years. 8 run years. Graduated students, they are all over Liberia, and then new government came, I had to leave. Then I started a health center in my hometown, Flumba, for women and children, because I heard that there were a lot of maternal mortality. So I was doing it until I went back to the States and then came to UMU. UMU application came when they were applying when they were recruiting people to apply. I've always wanted to get back to the United Methodist Church for sponsoring my education, making sure that I have what I have today. So I gave credit to the United Methodist Church. So coming to UMU was something that I was praying to God to allow the church to let me come here and make the little contribution that I can make before I'm getting older. So being here is just giving back. Yeah, and being the first female president, I think that was probably the next question you were trying to. So I don't see gender to play in it. I just feel that when you are called, anybody has the capability, and we just need to be given chance. to try out what we can do. When I got here, the place was broken. Everything is here was redone. I got down there. The first thing I smelled was the odor that was not even good. I told the people, I said I wasn't going to run the institution in trash can. First of all, we need to renovate quickly. If we don't have money, little we have, we'll give some, make pay, and then pay people and still use the place so that when our friends come tomorrow, they will not be looking down. And students were leaving. When I got here, students were leaving. Toilet, bathroom, everything broken, leaking. So we targeted renovation and engagement, talking to people, talking to the students, hearing their problems, taking notes how we're going to deal with that. And we've done a lot of renovations here. We did the admissions office. We did the other area that has the larger students population on that side. They call it CMA and the College of Sciences and so forth. And so I've been focusing on academic excellence. How is it that what I got, how I worked so hard, raising 5 kids. At the time, I was even single mother. My other kids were younger. Then I was caught up with the last child that I made last, who was also part of that. How can I work full time, take care of children, and acquire a degree? When Emory University gave me the honor award, I'm asking them, why you gave me this? Say, you're the only one who can get 5 children and obtain a PhD from Emory University. And I was like, wow, so this is a big deal. And what I did when I got a degree, I took it to the church to pray over it so I can dedicate it to the service of God's people. I got here, the bishop himself, when I talked to Bishop Choir at the time in the state, because we're doing everything on Zoom, he told me bringing me in lion den. You know, biblically, what that means. I just laugh. I say I would get out jealous Daniel. I didn't know it was a serious reality here. So what I did when I got here, I started praying in this very office by myself. The next thing I looked, staff started coming one by one. And today we call every morning when we come throughout the week for the 1 year plus I've been here. We pray and dance in this office. You can be janitor, you come on. Let's unify and build our institution. And I told them, if anybody treat you bad, let me know that they will not be here.
Great. So you came in the lion den.
Yeah.
And from the growth of the student population, your peers were out of the lion den now.
I'm out of the lion den.
Okay, great. So my question, the next question is, you can see that you have a very big population of students, and this compound, this campus can hold them here. What is the next dream about expanding? I want to see that. So when are you going to start official classes in those places?
We're working on it. You know, it's a tuition-based institution where we are seeking partnership and trying to seek help and help ourselves. But we have extended the colleges in order. We are in 5 counties. We're in Nimba, Bon, Sano, Mandibi, and Monrovia. And right now we're securing a building to even diversify. We have been giving the Methodist former bishop resident as a graduate school. By the way, we will soon start graduate and professional studies program that we incorporate all of the disciplines that we have at the university. We have another place on 72nd that been given 1.5 acre for us to build a College of Health Sciences. All we need is money. The space will not be a major issue, and so we are working on that together here, and that's what we are doing.
So, from Nima College to the United Methodist University, is that a promotion?
It's an extension and expansion of service.
Great.
People will call it promotion, but the college, when I was there, we worked towards making it a university or making a case that the same reason why we established the college will be the same reason we can expand, so the students will not go to Monrovia and struggle, because Monrovia is hard to live, and we worked on that, and those who came after me, it worked out. So I'm happy. I have a monument there too. Wow. When I get there, I'm the mother of that institution. I'm so happy that God was able to use me to make contribution to Liberia, and especially to my country of birth. So I'm excited.
Great. So you put out 1,030.
1,337.
Yeah, this is a huge number for the South Sudan University. Was it the size of the graduates? Was it because people drop out, or is it because of
the university has always, for some reason, let me tell you, this university is actually blessed by God. It attracts a lot of students. When I came and look at the ground, the bathroom, the place, they still struggling, but they're going. They stay here, they still come. So I didn't expect to have that number of students. And over the years, there were some who didn't graduate for some reason, so they were added to this number.
Okay.
But the enrollment has always been huge. 64% female, 36% male. It's been like that all along, and that's how we have done it. And that huge number of students that we graduated happened because of the same reason, because of thesis. If you didn't finish, you come over the next semester, and that was the case, I think.
Great.
But I didn't research to find out why they were that huge number. All I know, my students wanted to graduate. They could be cleared by the faculty senate, approved by the board. We went through thorough assessment to make sure that they were qualified to graduate, and they graduated.
So you're heading a very important, very big university right now in your home country. But they have been saying about education system have been a mess. So you are enterprising, working in a system that most people describe as a mess. You are bringing your professional ideas. How do you blend it so that you can have the quality output you are doing? If you come to work in a messy system and you don't interject your professional ideas, how you blend that?
I like how you frame it. When I went to study Nimba County Community College was from scratch. I had to envision where I wanted to take it. The people I recruited, most of them college graduates from University of Liberia. I have to interview some of them 5 times. But the reason I was committed was that I was going to upgrade their standard. And nobody could easily leave from Monrovia to go to Nimba to start a college. So in order for me to succeed at doing that, I have to get these people who are looking for a job, and then I brought people from the different universities in America who were retired to train these people and send some of them to China, UK, scholarship like Mother Pattern in the health sciences to do that. So the same thing, we came here in a Liberian situation. It's not enough to compete about how many students we put out. We are part of the Association of Universities system in Liberia. What we need to do is team up to see how we can utilize the resources. Instead of even going to seek partnership from way there, we can exchange with faculty. Some like University of Liberia have faculty that we don't have. We can make some exchanges. But for me, right now, in most of the institutions like UMU, we are mostly majority part-time. What we are doing now is to recruit full-time faculty who will have time for the student to have office hours to meet with them, mentor them to be the best students they can be, because teachers are reproducing themselves in their students. And if they are prepared for Liberia, Liberia will never be a better place. If we who are in the academic arena cannot focus on recruiting the most qualified, and if people are more qualified, it comes with pay, salary. And because we don't have that, people do 5-6 jobs. And when they come, they are tired. And that's why we face the different issues.
Okay.
But UMU is not unique with that.
Okay, so you had your graduation, you invited the president of Liberia to serve a keynote speaker. Was there particular reasons for that?
President,
Even though I know he's a Methodist,
yeah,
like myself, right? So, was there a specific reason for?
Why would there be a reason, President? We are always going around. I went with him to AMU there. I went with him to AMU there. I've seen him at an Advantage University, other places. I've seen him paying wire fee.
So you say
law for education. So I said, why is it that we will be United Methodist and the president is United Methodist and he also loves education? Why can't we just get him to come and speak to the students? That was the only reason that he can come too, because he also our president. We are all citizens of this country, and the students can also have the shaking hand he did at AMU there. It just that ours was so many students. And it took the whole day. We kept him standing there. But we are grateful that he could come to that place with his dignitaries to come and grace the occasion at the site that will be our permanent home.
I know the place was so crowded.
It was crowded, yes.
But what final thing before we go? I don't know how long you're going to stay as president of the UMU. Maybe based on your performance, you could get elevated somewhere. They will say at the University of Liberia. But what is your dream for the UMU? Before you get out of here, what you try, you want UMU to be like?
I want UMU to produce the best students that will become great leaders of Liberia. And to do that, we have to have the requisite trained personnel, faculty, staff who can inspire students. I got here when people were just talking to students in that kind of way. I told them it was unacceptable. These students, tomorrow we don't know where they're going to be. And what gets me to relive more, to be patient with students, to spend hours in the sun dividing their just gowns. Can you imagine?
And you got a lot of female students.
They're crying, they're standing there, people say, don't go. I said, they will kill me. They can't do anything, they just need help. It's because I came from that same background, struggling for education. Nobody knew I would be university president. So we have to give them the chance. And you do that by planning and also expanding and tapping into resources that may be available. Because if you don't look for it, you won't get it. And people who are willing to support the institution, we have formed partnership with Oz University, one of the best in the world. In Switzerland, when I got there, the treatment they gave me and the stuff that I saw, I was like, there's no competition.
Wow.
And we are not beggar, but we are going to do the best we can do. The little we have, see the graduation hall, we didn't ask anybody. I told them, let's help ourselves. When people can't see it halfway, they will help us. So I'm looking for students who are driven, students who want to score their own C's and B's. Then it comes from their brain, and faculty who will collaborate with me for us to engage and also challenge the students to learn rather than giving a handout, purchasing grades, sex, and all of that. So we're working on that. Liberia has problem, and we have to team up. That's why we are a member of the Association of Universities and Colleges. So we have work to do together. So my dream is that these students that we are working with, they will be the players better players of Liberia, if we really produce good students who have Christian values, moral value, integrity, they are responsible and able to when you give stuff, they account for it and conduct themselves as people of substance, Liberia will be better. Because President Elu cannot do it. It is the citizens, sometimes privates. I want students to create jobs, to team up, to build factories, to do stem cells. We can't just be nurses to give injection. But what research are we doing? You know, to be expert in certain diseases, you know. So those things come with financial stability, which we are working on. And because I trust God, I trusted God with that building. And they came to be. It's not easy, but we trust God to work hard so that God can meet us halfway.
Donlah Gonway-Gono, I want to thank you for the honor for accepting our interview.
Thank you for having me.